Jaiswal from Bloomberg Energy Finance, and I would like to set the scene in some sense for this conference, for this panel by giving an overview of what we as a research company are seeing happening in the global storage industry. Now, storage industry is not to be looked in isolation because there are plenty of ways in which storage can interact with the grid, without the grid, and this is just a brief snapshot. So storage is not just as simple as having a battery on the grid, which we'll definitely deliberate on the panel as we go forward. So I'm just going to quickly move on to the next slide in the interest of time. And would like to begin with this comparison, which shows how PV, solar and the storage technologies are following a same trajectory in terms of cost and innovation and development and product uptake. So on the left hand side you see the chart which shows the silicon consumption in the electronics industry and then the semiconductor industry and then in the solar industry. Now it was very low since the time this chart shows, but as progressively as the solar industry started upscaling, the costs also started coming down substantially. And we are seeing similar growth rates in the storage industry as well. So right now, if you see on the right hand side chart, the consumer electronics is the biggest user of battery storage technologies at the moment, but as electric vehicles, which are like bulk users, like the solar industry will come into the silicon industry, as these electric vehicles become more and more prominent, we believe that this will drive more innovation, economies of scale, and then be helpful in reducing the cost of storage. One thing that sometimes I also get asked, not sometimes, actually quite often people ask me about lithium-ion batteries is that India doesn't have any lithium mines of its own. But so I just wanted to share this slide with you that the actual lithium content in lithium-ion battery currently is about 11%. You see the bottom green range, that's the lithium content in different chemistries of batteries. Progressively, it is thought that this content would be brought down to only 3%. So there is not a dearth of raw materials available in India. I mean, cobalt, manganese, and a lot of other materials India does mine or will have access to it. But on the other side, on lithium itself, Indian government has been advised and probably will move to acquire a few mines in, let's say, in Bolivia to get access to the raw materials, which should kind of reduce our dependence on foreign companies. Some numbers on what we think is the global market size for storage technology. So this report we did, which forecasts, gives a forecast of our global, our understanding of what would be the global demand for storage. And you see between 2016 and 24, it's going up 50 gigawatts, around $44 billion would be invested during this technology, and obviously India will be amongst the top 5 markets for cumulative storage technologies in this time period. Now, if I break that chart into that geographic chart into these different areas, different applications, then behind the meter, the pink bars that you see is behind the meter. That is where we see a lot of traction coming in for storage technology, primarily driven by solar, but also other applications which we plan to discuss at the panel later on. Then this is a snapshot of what's happening currently in the utility scale stationary storage market. And as you can see, the market is doubling itself every year, almost every year. So it's actually in the same phase as I mentioned. It has having the same growth trajectory as solar industry has, which is kind of beneficial for the industry, keeping the cost down. Again, this chart we started mapping out since 2010, and as you can see, the prices of storage, the capex has come down significantly from $1,000 per kilowatt hour to around $73 per kilowatt hour, and we believe that it will go up to just 73 in the year 2030. Now, this is a slightly tricky chart because when I take this chart and have a discussion with, let's say, an oil and gas major, and they say that I'm way too aggressive and this will never happen. I take this chart to an automobile manufacturer or a battery manufacturer, and they say I'm way too conservative. And I actually believe that the way the costs are falling, it shouldn't be surprising if I am being conservative over here. We have seen in the solar industry that whatever costs we projected or whatever deployments we projected, and by the way, we were the most bullish ones in the solar industry, we have been. And we were always, kind of missing out on the actual numbers. We were always below what actually the industry was able to do. Similarly, we are seeing some very good traction and very good innovation happening in this sector. So please don't be surprised if storage on the grid side or on the behind the meter side becomes cost competitive in the next 3 or 4 years in India itself. Now, when storage costs come down, it's not only these two applications, but there are a lot of different applications, some things which we haven't even heard of or haven't even thought of, and that could actually come into picture. For example, vacuum cleaners, I didn't know that there were cordless vacuum cleaners available. And this was a fantastic thing that somebody thought of and is providing. But not only this, but there will be more and more consumer durables and more applications of storage that will come up in the future, which will actually accelerate the development going forward. And offshore platforms is something I wanted to just highlight over here, is that some offshore companies, generally they use gas power plants to keep the momentum going on and have an inertia in the system because they want to have their machinery running at constant load. But now these companies are also finding it much more suitable, much more economical to have a storage system installed on the rig rather than relying on gas systems. So that's another great way where demand could be coming from. And this chart shows what's happening in the industry. So it's not just a few battery manufacturers who are coming into or jumping into this foray. There are automotive manufacturers, there are utilities, there are oil and gas majors, obviously renewable energy companies and technology providers as well, and all of them are jumping into this specific niche at this moment. So it's not just one industry or one participant or one chunk of one group of participants which is driving the innovation, but a whole lot of the industry participants. With this chart, I just want to show that currently the Japanese and Korean manufacturers are kind of leading the lithium and battery production, but China has a grand ambition to overtake and dominate the manufacturing industry. If I go to the previous chart, so you see these charts. This shows how many gigawatt hours of battery capacity is already there in Asia. So it's not just Tesla who's building gigafactories, but there are multi-gigafactories being set up all across Asia and will come up online in the coming few years. This is just I wanted to share very quickly on what's happening on the gas side and how we're switching over to renewable. So in the US, you see California, they had some issues with gas after there was a big leak over there. In Taiwan, gas caused a nationwide blackout. And similarly in Australia, they were very recently when Tesla made some announcements after that. So that is also a recent phenomenon, and all of these incidents have had an implication, and the result was to use storage as a mitigation mechanism. So that's great. This second last chart, I just want to show that very soon we will see that electric vehicles, the storage in electric vehicles will actually be, the demand for storage in electric vehicles will meet a crossover point and will increase. We will dominate basically the industry. And the reason why this is happening is because consumers want more choices. There are automobile manufacturers who are building more models, and this is not just what Teslas or BMWs or Volvos, but actually there is a lot of companies. In 2008 we had like Tesla Roadster, then a few other companies, and then slowly, as you see, 2010 there were a few more manufacturers, 2011 more, 12, 13, 14, and you see how this space is getting crowded out very soon. So it's not just the current manufacturing industry, but you have to see that it's going, the momentum is catching up, and all the major auto majors are coming into this. So with that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for having the attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shantanu. Impressive presentation. It would be available to the audience in form of a PDF. Yeah. So whether you have registered with UVM to make sure to really receive the presentation, I would, of all the presentations, I would just ask Michael to stand up one second. Yeah. So if you just leave your business card with him, you make sure that you get all the presentations of today. And if it's fine, we could also distribute a participation list, maybe without the personal contact details for data protection reasons. but with the name and the designation and organization, if everybody is fine with it. Yeah. So please leave your contact details with Michael, and we will make sure that you will receive the presentation and participation. Thank you very much for the presentation. I have not heard once the word India in your presentation. But I'm excited that the market, not only worldwide, is growing, but also interest in India is growing. When we started the session, it was maybe half filled, this room. Now, I would say we are almost 90%. If the same growth rates for battery and storage options in India is taking place within the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years, it might be a very, very exciting market. Let's hear from the Indian side, from Mr. Dash, who's CEO of the Indian Storage Alliance. What's happening in India and what's the perspective from an Indian side? Thank you.
Thanks, Winter, and good afternoon. Let's focus on India market now. India is not far behind, as mentioned. So I'm Debi, I'm getting back. I'm Director of India Energy Storage Alliance. So this is operated by Customized Energy, is a global company of 19 years experience in global electricity market, and presence in Japan, Canada, Mexico, US and India. So IESA, currently we have 80 plus companies as part of India Energy Storage Alliance, including 30 plus manufacturers from lithium ion, lead acid, advanced lead acid, thermal storage and solar companies, and also power electronics companies and startups and EV like Sun Mobility, Arthur and Diesel Mechatronics and others. So we work in policy, program and projects to create a robust energy storage market in India, including applications and also manufacturing. So these are the activities we do across the space of energy storage in India. So before that, when I start the presentation, the energy storage is an integral part of across the electricity value chain, from the generation sides of renewable energy or from transmission and distribution deferral, or in the consumer side, including the behind the meter. Everyone uses energy storage as backup power in their home or commercial buildings, and also in the new electric vehicle segment. So energy storage is across the electricity value system, it is an integral part. So if you focus on Indian electricity market, it is deregulated somehow. Some few private players are in their generation side, and currently we have our own exchange also there. But energy storage is not at a level. We have a one grid, one nation. We have managed single frequency band across the India. We have an ambitious renewable plan of 175 gigawatt with 100 gigawatt of solar and 60 gigawatt of wind. But just I'm focusing on few of the applications. Now, why energy storage is required for a solar plant? So we did this analysis in 2013 for Ministry of Power. They needed energy. They installed 5 megawatt of solar in Andaman Nicobar. But what happened in 3 months, 6 times grid failed. We are the consultant to solve that in that case, and now you are seeing 64 megawatt of projects and energy storage floated by NLC and NTPC due to that study. This happened. This is the actual study we did. Due to the cloud passes in this is island Andaman Nicobar. So cloud passes there. Due to that cloud generation falls drastically for few seconds. That is called damping. After the ISA, when there was a 5 megawatt of solar. Now government was want to add and total make to green island with all the solar capacity and remove diesel genset. For current price is more than 30 rupees for diesel in that island. So in that case, this is the we found that storage, and any advanced storage like lithium ion or lead acid, advanced lead acid could solve this problem of damping. And now we have saw the 3 tenders by NTPC, NLC and REIL already floated few tenders with solar to solve this issue. So India is not far behind. This is another peculiar study. If you know about California .gov, so they think that with the addition of solar, they might face this type of situation and high damping in the morning and evening. In India also might face a similar situation. If you heard about Rajasthan curtailment of solar, with this 10 to 12 gigawatt of solar, we have an ambition of 100 gigawatt. Let's think about 60 gigawatt of solar. Then our daytime load will be solved by the solar. What will happen to the evening and morning? We will get a serious issue than California. So we will need more ramping, more than 60 ramps per second in India in the morning and night. So it may not be a duck curve like California, we may have a camel or giraffe curve. And it will be severe when we have an electric vehicle in the road and we will go for charging of electric vehicle in the evening. If all electricity will go in charge, or grid stability is an issue. So this is for the wind plant we did, and this wind plant has fluctuating data for forecasting. We can use energy storage to manage the forecast, which will not go beyond the 15% of the predicted forecast next day. And on the grid frequency side also, unlike other players, markets like PZM or Kaiso in USA, India don't have a grid frequency management through flexible asset like storage, but gradually throughout the years, the grid frequency bands are narrowing down in India, and we have the responsibility to the Indian POSOCO and other SLDCs are the responsible to manage this grid frequency. So in India, energy storage could play a critical asset to manage this grid frequency. We released a paper 3 years back with the Shakti Foundation for the CRC and CEA. Similarly, smart cities are the new concept. We don't want a smart city with diesel backup in a SEZ or in a smart township. There are big builders who use diesel gensets. Why can't we have a lithium-ion batteries or any other advanced technologies like flow batteries or sodium-ion batteries for the power backup with rooftop solar? That can be good solutions for the smart cities, and it is evolving. Many of the builders are showing interest in this space. And electric mobility is not far behind. If you think about electric mobility, currently we have more than 6 lakh e-rickshaws on the road, but that is not a solution currently, because that is going through some of the issues like illegal charging and others. So if you want to achieve a total electric mobility solutions for India with charging infrastructure and also manufacturing EV, storage is, we cannot ignore that. And also microgrid side, which may be a distributed microgrid in a university or an industry or in a rural village, then energy storage is critical to give the power in the evening, like it will be used for the shifting purpose. So it is already there in India. So in total we have a size of 70 gigawatt of market in India with a 200 gigawatt hour total market. The IESA work with different policy bodies like MNRE, MOP and BIS, a part of MNRE standard. Time is on. I will take 1 minute more. So we have a depository database called India Energy Storage Database. You can log in and check all the current projects which is happening in India or which are already tendered in India, where you can see about the projects, the detail about the project, where it is happening. These are the current scenario of the recent and proposed projects, both on the private sides and also on the government sides, how it is happening across the verticals of the. As IESA we evaluated, there are not a single application, there are 19 applications are suitable in India, from telecom tower to commercial industrial establishment like shopping malls, hotels, hospitals. So this is the exhibition center. Instead of diesel backup, we can have a lithium-ion batteries or a flow battery to back up this power. So there are 19 applications in India. And technology-wise, India is evolving. There are few companies that are also now entered into the assembling of companies, like Acme is one of the member companies who do assembly of lithium-ion batteries in India. We are expecting there will be 2 to 6 companies will come in the cell manufacturing in next 3 years. We all heard about JSW, Reliance are entering this. And apart from that, we are expecting more than 30 companies will go in the assembling space. And the battery system is not only about manufacturing of the batteries. It includes all the system level manufacturing, includes charge controller, BMS, power electronics. So it's a $4 to $6 billion market we are expecting in the next 5 years. On the price side, already Bloomberg mentioned, so we are also expecting some with the Tesla's ambitious price record in future and other Panasonic's Gigafactory with Tesla. We are expecting price will be definitely fall down to less than $200 per kWh next 3 to 4 years at system level. And similarly for the global market, how it is going. So as IESA and customized energy we launched it, it's a unique thing, CS Global Energy Storage Index. It will show how the total market is going forward. It is like a Max Solar Index or NCX or only focus on energy storage market. It is a live index, every day it is updated, so you can see this. We can also have some stats on this. So this is about how we are expecting the manufacturing plant. This is the important thing. We don't want to repeat the same thing what is happening in solar panel system. So there are more than 70% are imported to China. So we want Indianized energy storage systems, which is already happened in lead acid batteries. We want the same thing to be repeated in advanced technologies. So this is a scenario what IESA is currently working with Niti Aayog and other Invest India and other policy bodies to create it. We have a policy forum on 23rd, majorly focus on manufacturing and also on the application base. Feel free to join that. We have different policy working groups across memberships. We do that, and we are now launching with DZTI and IIT Bombay, a incubator center. We are in the top 40 to AIM Niti Aayog listed. So we are working on that ground also. These are the free services you can take through to ISA, know about the market where it is suitable. So feel free to join ISA. We have the next year conference in India Habitat Center, only focus on storage, 10 to 12 January. It is 5th International Conference and Expo. So if you have any questions, we can discuss after the conference, after the session will be over or in the session.
Thank you, Mr. Dash. It was a little bit longer than 7 minutes. I promise I will become stricter now. Please a request to our tech providers to really reset the 7 minutes and start it directly with the presentation. What we have learned now is that there's lots of potential, and if I could follow, mostly it's balancing of renewables coming up and frequency control as a possible market. Question would be, does that need to be done by battery storage? And the second was that there is already possible markets like islands or diesel genset replacements or e-mobility coming up where you see lots of potential, but I've not heard that much about a real market. Maybe our friend Mr. Ganesan from ABB is able to tell us where a tech giant like ABB is actually already focusing on it in India or maybe more of worldwide. Please.
We all mentioned maybe more than 100 companies merged together to form the present ABB. And we are located in more than 100 countries. We have more than 150,000 people, and we have more than $30-40 billion turnover every year. And we talk about what we offer here. We are talking about products. 58% is our turnover from products and systems, the solutions, and service and software. Of course, the products themselves have maybe 30-40% content, which get added as software. So we are, you can say, both hardware and software company. That means we are talking about both power and automation. That's what our strengths are. Our customers are basically from three major segments: the utilities, industry, and transport and infrastructure. And where we are located, we are there everywhere. Where we are banned to operate, we are there everywhere, I assume. So legally, whatever we do, we operate across the continents. Next slide. So what I am trying to highlight here is that ABB is not into battery manufacturing per se. But then, let us assume this is a medicine, but we possibly know how to apply this medicine, which part of the body needs what medicine. Because there are different kinds of medicines, and it could be the lowest end nickel cadmium battery on one hand, lithium ion, and spectrum of storage technologies, including mechanical components like spinning resistance. I mean, what do you call this? High-speed motors. 50,000 RPM will run a mechanical device and you can store energy, all the way up to hundreds of gigawatt-hour storage through pumped storage tubes. So the grid needs, when I say grid, we are talking about the socket in your home, all the way up to extra high voltage system. We call it as 1200 kV AC or 1000 kV, 1100 kV distributed DC panels. So we have products which would fit in this storage, and it's applied into the grid. Be it study of application of this, how the system would get integrated into this, all those things we can do as a professional service we can give it to various companies, utilities and industries. When it comes to the power converters is one of the components here. I'm not talking about ABB component. This is what we need to have as a spectrum of components that will fit into energy scenario, storage scenario. We basically need a power conversion, AC to DC or DC to AC. Batteries, of course, the batteries can be integrated into your small UPS home, or it could be an inverter, all the way up to gigawatt-hour level storage solutions. Control systems and algorithms. Today we are in the fourth revolution, industrial revolution. So we are moving in from whatever we have been doing from automation into a digitalized world. So we are having overload of information technology, and this information has to be processed, and we need to take intelligent decisions. So this is where we come in. So we have a lot of algorithms and operational sequences which will fit into the overall scheme of things. And of course the protection equipment. So it is not enough if you make something, but in case something goes wrong, that portion of the equipment, that portion of the system alone has to be taken out of service. The safest possible way, the least possible economical damage is that something can be replaced. That's the other end. And transformers and switchgears is what we make, of course, we all know modular. And modulars, they are all modular and scalable. When it comes to, let's say, a microgrid, maybe a 5 kilowatt home connected solar, grid connected solar or independent solar, a small microgrid, all the way up to EHV system we make. So we also make a lot of components. I mean, you may think ABB is a global company, but I would like to highlight ABB in India has the largest number of engineers located in India, 1,200 engineers. One single location of engineers sitting in India, develop a lot of components, algorithms, and whatever that makes it to make our products good. They are sitting in India. And when it comes to microgrid, we make plug and take in of containers with storage element, inverters, converters, whatever you can imagine, we make it in India. So it's a kind of a global company, yes, but we have basically a kind of a democratic setup. Each product is owned by different countries, and operations are spread across the globe to make it totally economical. All right, the next one would be, how it is applied at different parts of the grid. We talk about storage not just as an energy storage to be stored now and used later, but we also use it for postponing the investment. Storage cost alone should not be considered as an investment. How it is able to help you in doing something better. So when you are trying to talk about 1 kilowatt hour of storage to be added, what benefits it brings to the grid? I would say the distribution system, if you add some storage, it is going to reduce my total distribution loss, which is a big headache in this country. When you generate 1 unit of energy, 20-25% gets lost along transmission and distribution. So if you can reduce it even by 1% by putting storage somewhere down the line, you have done everything. So this basically slide talks about how the storage is applied across the grid spectrum. So that's what we are. And what is going to drive storage in the next few years? Right from wind and solar power integration, I think my previous speaker highlighted, I don't want to get into the details, the natural gas, oil prices, energy security, we don't want to depend on a third country. The bottlenecks in the system, we don't want to add a transmission line, possibly adding a battery would help us. So quite a few other things would possibly sell the energy storage as an important component for integrating into the system. So only one small point with the permission of the chair, I just want to add. There is a recent study by our the grid operator. It talks about the next 5 years of grid operation. They have not envisaged a very major storage to be integrated to the grid, but I think moving forward it will happen. That is number one I want to highlight. Second thing, I also represent ITT Power and Energy Society. There is a major seminar happening in Bangalore between 8 and 10. On 8th is a tutorial for half a day. One expert from ABB from Zurich will talk about how to apply, how to use the storage in one of the events. So I would request all of you to look up into the web, IEEE APEC in Bangalore, November 10th. You may want to register. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesan. Thank you. So what we learned is the technology is available. We have not asked them how much gigawatt of battery storage have been installed by ABB yet, but maybe that question will come up later. But what we learned is that you consider solar power as one of the major drivers, and I think most of us know that ABB is actually one of the leaders in solar power in India, at least when it comes to inverters. But you're not producing the batteries, or not yet? So there is a need for batteries, and maybe the batteries could come from India. Is there plans for producing a battery here in India? Maybe Mr. Gupta, if you could give us some insights on what your activities are.
Good afternoon, everyone here, my all friends and industry colleagues, and my special thanks to the audience. Why I'm saying so, I'm really happy to see a good number of audience here today. We are here in the industry for the last 3 years. For the storage subject, it's just a new subject. Every industry and every industry professional is still learning the way. how to bring the connection between the renewable energy generations and the storage value proposition of that. So on that perspective, I would like to put up some connection in a simple possible way so that everyone should understand in terms of my other speakers who have given a very good global consultative view, highlighting even the lithium part of it, even the energy storage part of it. I will try to give you some real application perspective of it, coming from a global and then application, then how India is going to drive it. So if we see from a global energy demand perspective, there are all the different countries. So we have just tried to highlight how different countries need in terms of megawatt and hours of energy and what are the different options available today, how they are fulfilling those demands. So here even if we see the renewable is still to grow up. So there is a big space which is happening. And these are the various technology. So my friends have called, let's say, lithium. It must have taken some road ahead, but that is not the end of the story. There are multiple technology. The only thing is how we can do the fitment in a particular application way. So this is the way different technology will also come forward. It is a matter of time and experiencing those technology over a period. These are of course some data points which we have created from a different technological angle as per the application requirement, how it can address those market need fulfillment. Of course, I am little running fast because the time constraint is there, but you are most welcome after the presentation to discuss in detail anything with me. So if we see from the value of the energy storage in the modern grid, so there is multiple application scenario. Everything we cannot say it's all depends on the grid because grid is unstable, grid is not available, we all know that. But how then the storage can fulfill that gap across the various application scenarios. And these are a typical kind of a block diagram we try to put up over here. If from your renewable energy source like solar or wind, how you can reinsert back to the grid, and then the grid will again take it forward in the distribution mode. And this is a very interesting slide if we see. In terms of energy storage market, Asia Pac is leading the way. And of course, based on the experiences as of now, lithium is again leading in terms of the other technology. So that doesn't mean this is the only technology which is good one. Idea is that this technology good already some good application, good markets, and the good experience on ground. So that is where it is showing good benchmarking experience. Now coming to the India market scenario. So that is where we all have a lot of excitement. We all must be looking in terms of this is a particular domain where India can lead a lot. There is, if we see different aspects of my presentation, there are already lack of reliable grid power, then growth in sales of electric rickshaw, government is pushing very hard, there is already standardization approach on that. And then moreover, key government initiatives. If we see these are the key factors which will indicate how fast in terms of renewable plus storage. So we have to see the connection, the generating source and the storage capabilities. And these are the need of the BSS in terms of how once you store the energy, how it can be utilized across various applications in your day-to-day life. So I must say this will give you a broader perspective, let's say from an India angle. We all can understand the challenges as of now, whether it's a rural area, whether it's an application area, whether it's a renewable market. So how a storage can fulfill those gaps. So you must be surprising, I have come out with any my of company introduction slides. Our introduction is our customers. We are already in India with more than 500 megawatt hour of distributed energy storage, which we have deployed. And today more than 400 persons are managing those energy storage. And then a very interesting thing, on 26th of this month, we are launching our lithium-ion factory in India. That's the next factory after China we are putting up over here. Pricing and the demand. It's all going in the right proposition, and that's increasing the right fulfillment of the energy domain. And these are the various microgrid energy storage solutions in terms of you can use multiple ways. It's not like only one way is right way or the wrong way. It all depends upon how we do the proper planning, proper requirement fulfillment. So we can say we have a proper system arrangement. You can do it with VRLA, you can do it with lithium, you can do it with any other technology. It's not we are here to advocate that this is the only technology. So firstly we have to come out from that phenomenon. So even with the lithium also we have a little better advancements, little better requirements. But here we have to be very clear, everything again zero on to the applications. And these are the like in telecom domain, we are removing diesels from the telecom side, which is a very killer in terms of creating a lot of pollutions. So we have created an energy storage device, and this is a very much well suitable for India market. Now these are the, even for next 10 years, whatever technology I have shown so far, this is not the end or start. You have more technology to talk about in next 10 years. So we have to just see how and what way it is going to gain momentum. And these are the, application wise if I see from the energy storage fitment. So there are electric vehicle sector, our India government is working very hard to position it with various business models to make it success. There are utility sectors in terms of other commercial activities. So you can see there is a big picture. There is a big scope which is going to happen for everyone. So in last, if I conclude, lithium is of course gaining momentum today, and then more energy storage will help the demand gap in a rightful manner. And finally, this is a most ever slide in the energy domain I am always using. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It can be transformed from one form to the other. This is something we keep learning in our schooling days. But now even I am realizing what is the connection between generating and the storing. So this is the real way of our principle itself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Thank you. So if you leave your contact details with Mr. Raghu, we will make sure that you receive the presentation, or you have registered with a full email address with UPM, you should also get a link. Impressive that we saw a glimpse of Make in India. So looks like batteries Make in India are on its way. I've heard there is others in the field which are actually making in India even today. Is that right, Dr. Gupta? Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Rashi Gupta from Vision Mechatronics. We are into the lithium batteries, and I'm very proud to say that we are doing it at the Make in India flagship. Who we are, we just started with niche robotics and industrial automation, and post that we have been into energy storage and doing a lot of stuff in this domain. We have presence in 6 states in India. I would all my friends and dignitaries on the stage have discussed too much about how the market is trending, what are the possible avenues. But more than that, I'd like to discuss the ground realities that we have been facing till date in energy storage, and the live example of this conference and exhibition that came across yesterday to me. Surprisingly, hall number 9 to 12 are powered on DG sets, and there is no grid power available because the grid power for Indo-Expo Center sanctioned by the government authorities is only 2 megawatts. Solar they have installed is about 2 megawatts. And as of today, for the conference and exhibition that every one of us is attending, the power requirement is 12 megawatts. So how do they cater to this huge requirement of power? Obvious choice was the DG set. And yes, they have been using DG sets. And unfortunately, by end of the day, by 6:30, they have to switch off the DG sets owing to the very high costs and expenses coming out of the per unit rate of the power that they generate. So we were not given power in the night when we really needed to charge the batteries, because we run our booth on batteries. So I happened to meet him in the morning and ask him why Indo-Expo Center, the exhibition arena here, does not have sufficient power from the mode of renewables and from the mode of the grid power. What is the reason? They answered that we do have 2 megawatt of solar, but it is inconsistent. We have issues in syncing with the grid, and peak demand charges are very high. So they said, and we have been looking for storage solutions, but till date we have not come across something which can help us streamline and synchronize with the grid and renewables together, offering a solution so that there is uninterrupted power supply. So I smiled away and told them on 25th of this month I will be back here and give you a solution with my proud product LIRAC, which can solve these issues even in the megawatt domain. Because I realized that it is very important that each one in the country has power sufficient systems available, rather not just sufficient, having very efficient systems. Till date we were lacking with technologies, but as of now India does have many new technologies which are very, very efficient, which reduce your per unit cost, and you have to see it in the whole view of the capex, which is the first time initial investment, as well as the operational cost, to really evaluate real-time benefits of using energy storage and not just one-time investment. You will have to understand the application and have a look in a holistic manner. Now with my product, what I suggest is you can just do away with the DG set, stabilizers, UPS batteries, and just use one maintenance-free combo. I'm very proud to say that what makes us very unique is that we are the only company providing preventive monitoring, wherein we can anticipate what in your storage could go wrong and how soon it has to be fixed, so that the customer does not face a blackout or even a few milliseconds of a downtime. That is what we do. This is how I would like to make India in 2027, that is completely self-reliant, power-reliant, and absolutely happy with zero pollution. I would wind up with my presentation right here, saying being before time. Thank you so much. You are open to talk to me after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta. So there's solutions for India, and there's also some solutions made in India. Why don't we see more of these solutions? Whenever I walk through Delhi, a 3-building house, everybody has a diesel genset still. So is it really only because of the price? But as we saw from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, prices are declining rapidly. Or is there some framework reductions to be made, pushed by associations, through government? So I would actually invite Gurpreet from IGEF. You're having lots of customers who are maybe asking you the same questions, and you're having a look at it. So maybe you give us a little bit of perspective on market models, and maybe what does it need for battery storage to kick off in India a little bit faster.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Hi. Hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Gupta, and I would congratulate Rashi for an excellent thought that you've actually started with. And maybe I'd begin from there and kind of take it on. And also, what Manoj talked about, your last slide, that energy possibly can be transformed from one form to the other. I'll also give you an example that I remember. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I actually come from an oil and gas background. I worked in the oil industry when the prices were at $150 a barrel. But then, the industry changed, and I'm now really a renewables guy. I remember when we used to talk about gas storage. In the first line in a presentation or whatever paper used to be, gas, unlike electricity, can be stored. I think that paradigm has changed now completely. When we talk about storage, storage in our daily life. The mobile phones that we use have lithium-ion, and not just you and I. It's the poorest sections of the society that use the mobile phone work basically on a battery. The battery chargers we have work on battery. The question, in my view, is sometimes wrongly put when we talk about the cost, and we focus a lot on the cost of the solution. I think what is important is to focus on the value that the solution is providing, and how do you provide a value to that technology that you have. If you're able to provide a value to the technology, you will find consumers and you will find the technology that starts to flourish. I don't have too many slides. Let me just begin a little bit about ICF. ICF is a global energy consulting company, not energy consulting company, we are a consulting company. We are present in a number of countries. We have more than 5,000 people globally, more than 50 years in existence. Been in India for 12 years, and these are the areas that we work in, which is energy, transportation, health and social environment, and marketing technology. So what is our take on why are we talking about energy storage? I really wouldn't want to talk about a lot of things. I just want to talk about one point that I started with, is how do you really identify the value, and how do you provide that value to the technology that you have. So if you look at storage, we are today talking about a number of its uses. We are talking about its ability to balance the system. The generation is intermittent, so therefore you need storage to balance the intermittent generation. At the same time, the consumption also varies. There is a load pattern. In the evening, the consumption increases because when ACs get switched on, maybe in Delhi the consumption goes up. So there is a need for more electricity, and during the day maybe the electricity goes down. So there's an entire load curve that is there. There is a generation curve that is there. And ultimately, the system operator has to balance it. When we talk about storage in the context of balancing the system. What we also want to where do we ultimately want to reach? Ultimately, you want to reach a stage where storage as a solution is literally providing the services to all different kinds of consumers, whether it's a generator, whether it is a distribution company, whether it's a transmission company as well. For example, if a distribution company can put up a small storage at its transformer, it can help avoid investment in that, and therefore keep the costs low with that storage. Similarly, a generator, if it combines storage with its solar or wind plant, it can even out the generation profile and provide a smoother generation. So, when people talk about what is the right place for storage to be installed, what is the right business model, in our view, the business model that you'll see will be everywhere. You'll see storage getting installed with generators, you'll see it getting installed at transmission, at distribution, and even behind the meter at consumer end. So storage has an ability, or either through batteries or through pumped hydro or compressed air. There are different forms of storage, but each of them then have a different role and a different position in the value chain. Storage for what its value is, and therefore it can actually work with any part of the value chain. Now, how do you therefore support this market? Because today, of course, the prices are where they are. They will take some time to go down. And in the Indian context, if you see, we are a very price-sensitive market. So overall, if you look at the support that you definitely need, I think the first support is improving up technology. We have the technology that has been proved up in a number of places globally, as well as in India in some applications. But I think there is need for wider proving up of technology, for wider deployments, for large batteries, grid-scale batteries, to be deployed and actually see their behavior over a period of 3 to 4 years. How is their temperature response? How is their response to the ambient conditions? And therefore, what is the effectiveness and ultimately the life cycle cost of a battery installed in ambient conditions? So that needs support. The second form of support that we need to provide to this industry segment is a market and a regulatory support, where the policies are designed to support the market development where storage can participate. For example, if we talk about, let's say, an independent company which puts up storage, today, as per the regulations in the power market, that company cannot provide services to anyone because power is very heavily regulated sector. So either it gets deployed at a generation facility, where it's combined with the generation plant, or it gets, let's say, put up by a distribution company where a generation company can't use it. Ultimately, what we want is a kind of an independent operator that is developing storage and providing these services to generators, to transmission companies, as well as to distribution companies. And if all these services can then, as use cases, be added on top of one another, it provides the value that the storage needs from different stakeholders. For example, demand charge management from a DISCOM, maybe at a completely different time from the need of a generator, a wind generator who needs storage at a different time. So the use of storage asset can actually be increased multifold if it can provide services to many of the others. If indeed this can be done, what it means really is, on one side you're comparing the cost, and on the other side you're comparing the value. And it's therefore very important that all the different elements of the value that are mentioned, which are over here as either load management or avoiding investment or avoiding any curtailment of RE, can all be put together and added to give the consolidated value of storage, which therefore is very easily able to balance the cost that we see. I think with that, I'd just like to stop and finish my points. Any question that are there from the audience or colleagues, I'll be happy to take those. This is some of the work that IGEF has done, but I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Gurpreet. So I think the most impressive sentence I've at least taken note of was the business model will be everywhere.
Or maybe it should be everywhere.
So means that, as we have already seen of the different applications and the different presentations, that if we talk about at least battery storage, not talking about pump storage or flexibility of the system with other measures, but battery storage can be applied in many situations on the demand side, but also in coupling with generation. Maybe to take advantage that you're still here, you would have to leave earlier, and also Shantanu from Bloomberg, you would maybe because of prior commitments may have to leave a little earlier. Let's have a small discussion at this point, and let's actually see why, if business models can be seen everywhere or will be seen everywhere, why they're not seen here yet. I am a foreigner, and I'm actually always wondering why you have around 90 up to 100 gigawatts of diesel gen sets in this country. This is almost 1/3 of the whole capacity you have on a utility scale. That's impressive. I would just be interested if there is anyone in the audience who do not have a battery inverter or a diesel genset at home. Somebody already replaced it by a lithium-ion system, maybe combined with solar. Is there someone with a solar rooftop and lithium-ion system? One person? Very good. Second? Okay, but this is in the US or it's in India? It's in the US. Okay. Just to give you an idea, in Germany even, where we have, I would say, almost 60% less sun than you have, it's already cheaper to produce the electricity by solar for your own consumption. So 50% of all solar rooftop systems installed in Germany come with storage, because people try to maximize self-consumption. So it's better to charge your car or to fill up your battery than to give it to the grid. Let's have a discussion on where the market is and why these business models didn't become a big success so far. Are we very close? ABB is selling thousands of storage solutions to the Indian market already. You made a clear business case and told the secret to every one of us to whom to approach if we are a technology provider. Why isn't there more business on the market right now, Dr. Gupta?
Simply because people do not still relate to lithium, which is an upcoming technology, or rather batteries. Number two, they have no good knowledge or awareness about which application and which technology should be combined to get the maximum benefit. They end up choosing something wrong and end up paying a huge cost for it, having very poor ROIs, and then they feel that the technology doesn't work. So we first need to create a lot of awareness in people, giving them options, making them educated on what choice they have to make. Once we do that, you would see the same big amount flourishing in India as well. Probably we'll have less of fossil fuel being used and more of solars being used.
Thank you. So, but is it maybe the big upfront cost which also they don't want to take, and maybe an ESCO or RESCO model would be something like marketing your solutions?
Yes.
Mr. Gurpreet, you said there is so much business models. Isn't that a viable business model? Is it not allowed for an Indian ESCO to offer these kind of services?
Yeah, I think there are 3 or 4 questions or different segments that you have to look at when you want to answer that. I think first of all, either you look at behind the meter or front of the meter, the market is completely different. When you come to front of the meter, it is highly regulated from generation to transmission and distribution, and therefore newer business models find it quite difficult because they have to seek so many approvals. A distribution company, for instance, if they have to put up small storage, they have to take approvals from the regulatory commissions, which will, the first question will be, why should I approve such a costly investment when your tariffs are going to go up? So that's quite difficult, in terms of regulation. But when you talk about behind the meter, and I think there, Rashi made a great point that it's a lot about the customer awareness. And because we feel that really customers' affordability is just mentioned as a point. Really, customers, if they are able to afford a DG set and generate from DG set, there's no way that a solar rooftop system combined with the right battery can actually not match that cost. So I think it's a lot about awareness. And yes, if there are business models where companies get interested in putting it up in the ESCO model, you'll find a lot of buyers who will be willing to move.
Yeah, I agree with him.
So Mr. Dash, you are representing an association. You have lots of members. Didn't they get the clue that they could all maybe fund a RESCO or an ESCO and approach lots of customers with these kind of solutions?
So what we expect in the telecom tower, what is sold, that is also same, they are replacing diesel genset in rural areas. The next thing what we are expecting, that is also diesel genset. But why it is not as fast as other global market? The first reason is the upfront cost is high. People want to pay EMI with high interest, but they don't want to buy a car. Similarly, because diesel genset is it is coming around less than 50,000, where you have to buy a lithium-ion system for similar standards with 6 to 10 times price. But they don't consider that the operation cost for diesel genset is too high. They have to pay higher amount of 17 to 18 rupees per unit, where the solar plus storage cost is coming around 8 to 12 rupees maximum. So they are not considering that value. So industry education is first thing. So IS is doing across India capacity building workshop. So that is the reason now getting good queries from the resorts and also few queries from the SEZs. Now they are planning to install lithium-ion batteries. Because if you are smart
So the question was actually, is there ESCOs in this country offering these kind of services because of the high upfront cost?
Currently there is not available a lot, but 2-3 companies are entering the space as the ESCO model.
So I have some thoughts on that. I think so ESCO model companies, people have tried, of course, because fundamentally it makes sense. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs who want to try that. They are trying to do that, but the kind of issues they face, are real practical issues. For example, if you actually finance and put up a solar system on somebody's roof, what do you have the access rights? Can you actually go to the roof if he's not paying you and remove that system? In India, the access rights are really not as well. What about the insurance? The customer is not sure. For example, if the customer has to install, is the insurance going to be available for these panels? Are they going to work for 25 years? So there are a number of minor issues which need to be sorted out, and a lot of companies in the ecosystem have to come in to make the ESCO model also a successful model.
Maybe Mr. Ganesan from ABB, you're a leader in the market. If it it comes to solar installations. Through your developers and EPCs, you have access to all these customers. Aren't they asking you for a hybrid solution or combined solution, solar plus storage?
I'm not an expert on that area, but in general, from our company perspective, we do have some solutions, including software solutions to look into that in case somebody is interested in taking that. We do sell such software. But then when it comes to the investment perspective, which could possibly lead to the solution, somebody has to look at what is to be done in the life cycle cost and how exactly investment would possibly help in reducing or rather postponing the investments. All those things have to be taken into account. It's a techno-commercial decision and that has to be explained.
Thank you, Mr. Belur. You come from the US. There is storage, combined solar storage is a no-brainer, or people prefer to charge their Tesla with a solar rooftop? What's the situation in the US in regards to home storage systems?
I think we need to take a step back and ask what problem are we solving, right? I think where you see high penetration of solar, that's becoming more of a norm. A lot of it is driven by regulation. So for example, if you look at what's going on in California and Hawaii and in places like Arizona, where the utilities are coming in and the first step that they're doing is first they're asking for what's called smart inverter functionality. People like California Rule 21, Hawaii 14H and other places. The first reliance that is on the solar system itself to provide the resiliency and provide, try to address some of the intermittency challenge and the load forming problems, right? The second way the utilities are driving some of these problems, and I'll come to storage in just a moment, is by saying, hey, you need to do self-consumption. You need to do demand charge, right? Demand charge is a very, very big driver for driving the market towards a solution that's actually acceptable to people, less amount of challenges for them to manage. At the end of the day, the fundamental problem is the fact that solar as an intermittent resource, when you have high penetration, is when we need storage. I'll give you an example of that. Hawaii, right? Enphase has about 60,000 systems in Hawaii. On Oahu alone, which is a 1.2 gigawatt grid, there is so much generation in the middle of the day, distributed generation, residential.
So he's talking about the grid integration of high shares of renewables on islands.
Right, and what's happening is energy flows to the substation in the middle of the day. In fact, there are times when energy flows past the substation into the transmission network. There's so much generation. So there people are saying, okay, what are the things that can we do to do it? So it's very early days for providing a solar and storage integration. It's the drivers are coming through the utilities, through things like self-consumption and demand charge, etc., which drives the adoption of energy storage. But the first step is not energy storage. The first step is implementing regulatory requirements around smart inverter functionalities. Just through solar and doing things through load management, like demand charging.
Right, so just to set the scene, we are talking about electrical storage. That's clear, but it's obvious that there is solutions already available in the market for, let's say, higher shares of balancing of higher shares of renewables. So that's what we mentioned. I think US main is done by pump storage balancing, lots of pump storage, at least in the main. And second would be, actually first would be always market control mechanisms, demand side management. So if there's lots of wind and lots of sun, let's have lower tariffs, let's have the steel industry participate on it. Let's have signals for customers to charge their cars at maybe zero cost if there's lots of renewables. And then coal-fired power plants becoming more and more flexible, ramping up and down, so there's no more base load concept. So after we have looked at all these options, then storage becomes an option today, but with the falling prices of storage, the question is if more and more storage, electrical battery storage, already comes into the picture as an earlier stage and at different market segments behind the meter and so on as you just said.
So, at the risk of sounding very, very controversial, if we didn't need to do storage, we wouldn't do it. Why? But unfortunately, or fortunately, the fact that solar is a limited resource, we have to provide a complete solution. And just between storage and demand management, it's not good.
Let's ask a technology provider, when you're starting to produce batteries here in India, do you appoint big container solutions for balancing the grid? Are you looking into e-mobility? Do you really believe that we will see high shares of e-vehicles in the future in India? 2030, each car sold should be an electric car, as announced by Shri Goyal. So, for which market segment actually you're looking?
Yeah, for us, it's not like only the big game. We are happy with 10 AI solution also, because this is a process. We cannot say it can be imposed today, and it is a customer experience on ground. So when we see from a storage industry and market point of view, it is actually like we must know India first. Then only we can talk about what will work, when and how. For example, we cannot in India do anything by a push factor. You talk about in terms of operationalization of technology, we talk about it's not just a one-sided story. It is your passion, it is your experience. How well you connect yourself into the customer domain. There are customer applications wherein we need to collaborate. Of course, for new technology integration, one need to have a thorough end-to-end process as a journey, which we have to pass through. There is no shortcut to that. And for doing that, it's all backward integration, forward integration. So my perspective of any new technology and its application is we cannot push it. Only thing is we have to understand the customer perspective first. How we can align our technological dynamic along with customer business case. Then there are possibilities of doing it right. I give you two examples. Like for the private market, in telecom for example, RGO came later, come with the 4G technology. So it is a time factor. They come with the latest technology and the lithium being chosen as the right fulfillment. So today, the maximum network of RGO is working on lithium ion. And Coslight is one of the major suppliers. Now, if we see from an EV market growth perspective, there also we are there. Here it is the government policy push. Because interestingly they understood if EV market has to grow in India market, the totality price has to be reduced. So fundamentally, the direction which government is setting up, keep the vehicle separate from the lengthy. So this is the different way, and to position anything in India, everything in totality need to understand. Then only we can say what works, what doesn't work.
Thank you. The Storage Alliance is actually speaking for making India a generation or production hub for batteries for whole Asia. By bringing international companies to India to invest in India and make in India, or by pushing and setting the right framework for conditions for pushing native companies to explore the market. With us, Mr. Shivarajan, you're from Su-Kam. Are you making in India or are you assembling in India?
Thank you everybody for giving us an opportunity to present ourselves, and it was a great learning and listening to all the speakers. So, and thank you the audience for having the patience to come here and listen about what we are actually into. If we talk about today's storage, I would like to tell you that our company for the last 25 years are in storage business. Nowadays storage has become very popular by few companies introducing like Tesla, lithium-ion batteries like solar grid-tile inverters. So the word storage itself has, it depends on why you want to store. Some companies they store, some countries they store because they have a very high peak rate at evening, so they want to store the energy in the morning time and feed it back to the grid, or use it in the night time. So here in India we have the poor grid conditions, as many of our speakers told. And we know what the Indian grid condition is and how difficult it is to design for Indian market. But having said so, every house, most of the house in India has a storage system, and it's known by inverters. There are many companies who are supporting the market with this. So the only thing that we need to add is a combination of storage type. Like for example, if lithium-ion is very costly and lead acid is going to be very rugged and low cost, initial phases we need to have a combination to get the best of both the worlds. We cannot say lithium-ion is going to be the best in the Indian industry as well. That's what I believe as a technologist. So we have to evolve. We cannot straight away change and say we go from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0 or the other vice versa. It has to be an analog slope which we have to slowly overcome between technologies which suits our grid condition, which suits our pocket. Lithium ions are incredibly costly even today. For a normal man, it's not affordable. So can we combine these two? And second, coming to the technologies, which he said, rightly said, there are, we personally believe if we and government and the like-minded people think together and think that, what kind of products will suit Indian conditions, which supports the Indian conditions, at a low cost, we will be able to combine all these in product and give the market a right product. And as far as grid feeding is concerned, I would like to just say that the government has to come forward more, not by merely saying how many gigawatts and how many days, but by enabling more energy grid type meters into the system into every house and industry, which we still see there is a very slow progress. Why solar and the storage systems are not become very predominant in the market.
Sorry for asking again, maybe I didn't get it. So you make in India?
Yes, we design in India, we make in India, we produce in India and we sell in India. We sell both in India and African Asian countries.
And it is what you make in India? The batteries itself, it is?
Yes, we are making batteries. We are making lead acid batteries. We are making tubular batteries, if you know, which has evolved over the time, cost effective. But yes, they are not as performing as lithium-ion in terms of cycle times or in terms of the high battery current charges that it can take. But it is a very suitable technology for Indian conditions, most of the Indian places right now. And yes, we can combine the lithium-ion. Some of the speakers who said are going to launch in India lithium-ion batteries and see what we can do together to make the market.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gupta, I've heard you, if I understood rightly, you're into make in India lithium-ion, yeah? So you could actually partner?
See, for us, make in India is not just only a manufacturing angle. It's not just like bringing investment from abroad and putting it abroad. The way I said, we need to first know India. So make in India in itself is a way of business life in India. If we really have to do something, we have to do it over here. Because for us, make in India means it's work on 5 principles. The market definitely look at you in terms of your first commitment, your connect, your collaboration, your communication, and of your commissioning. So once these 5C works, that is what the Make in India means for the India community. And then we can say we have commenced our journey to a success note on a win-win affair, where whatever we are producing, it is fulfilling the Indian customer need. It has a thorough background in terms of localization and R&D inbuilt, which complete the value cycle of the whole India chain market. And that is what actually Make in India means. And we as a Coslight, we are doing it from last almost now 4 years. Of course, we have already set up even VRLA factory over here. This is our new factory which we are inaugurating on 26th of this month as a lithium-ion factory. So it means we are not, pro and con with the one particular technology. Idea is with applications, with need fulfillment, what is in demand, how best we can address the market across multiple applications. That is where Coslight come forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. That brings us actually to another question of if we only talk about lithium-ion, as you have mentioned out, it's not the whole market. We are also talking maybe about game-changing technologies. Is there any talks about lithium air technology being set up maybe even in India because IT Madras is investigating in it? Or are we talking about silicon in its technology or solid-state batteries? Or are they that much in a, let's say, investigation phase that nobody actually in India is already betting on it? Maybe our market analysts or from the Indian Storage Alliance, Mr. Dash, or ABB already offering some... Okay, so then please...
So I will just speak about, apart from lead acid and lithium ion, so there is an emerging technology called advanced lead acid, which is a carbon content and bipolar, which have around more than twice of the life cycles. And few of the Indian companies are already entered this. Emma have already invested 200 crores, inside JV with Eastman, Eastman with for ultra batteries. So these are the new technologies which will be acceptable by Indian consumers because it will not have the price of 3 to 4 times as lithium ion. The second part of the question, as you mentioned about lithium AR or lithium sulfur, this technologies is definitely very good, having more than 10,000 cycles lithium sulfur and AR is giving, and they are very high dense batteries. But for commercial aspect, it is not so much popular in Western countries. It is limited to pacemakers or drones or aerospace applications. So currently it is ISRO is working on these as I told, but commercial applications with this cost curve, it may seem more than 5 years required for this Indian content.
So if we talk Make in India and if we talk about future market popping up in battery storage, we're talking about
majorly on the lithium chemistries of NMC or phosphate or max to max lithium catenary LTO. So, but apart from this lithium chemistries, there is chemistries like flow batteries. There is a Delhi-based company which was not now, it was Immersive, was working good on the vanadium chemistry. There are other chemistries like sodium-based. There is a company from Pune. They are working on sodium nickel chloride. There are a few companies from South India. They are also working with the sodium-based new technology. There is a Mumbai-based company who is working on zinc and iron-based batteries. They are also launching a manufacturing plant which will be live in 2018. So across India, there are few companies who are investing in other technologies apart from lithium ion and lead acid. So it's interesting to see because this two market will not dominate all the percentage of the applications. Currently, lead acid market in India is more than a 4 billion market. It is one of the largest market in the globe.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesan. You're not making batteries, you're buying them. So are you considering buying other batteries than lithium ion?
I just want to talk about some of the emerging technologies, mostly many of us are not aware. So storage, all these battery technologies do chemical means, I would say. Then we also have mechanical means, which is typically the pump storage scheme. That is one thing we know, compressed air, there are the mechanical means. But then, okay, once you try Fraunhofer, right, that's the institute in Germany. So they are experimenting with maybe a very, imagine a very thick concrete floor, immersed maybe 600 meters below ocean. And let's say it has got a volume of say 100 meter cube. You suck the water out at that pressure. Basically, it's a kind of a pump storage scheme. So I'm talking about grid level. It's not for your backyard kind of house. So that is being experimented. So they are talking about multiple such units being stacked together in a particular location. So we are talking about gigawatt hours of storage possibility being explored at this moment. I'm not sure what has happened. It was about 2 years back. So that is one technology. Another one is the thermal storage. Of course, we are all aware. Maybe some of the cold countries were already using it. Basically using the stoves or whatever for storing energy when you have excess energy in the grid and use it whenever you want to take. But then also one could use the carbon dioxide, basically compress it and basically cool it down like a thermal machine. The other side use it.
Right.
There is also a technology which some pilot plants have been put up. This is another area which is coming up. just keep the options, what are all them? So just to keep the.
I have tried that a couple of times,
So,
talking about the flexibility of the system as a whole.
Which excites us also because we need to keep, it's an evolving scenario. I mean, how exactly it will go in, we don't know. And just keep the audience also to know. And then another technology being implemented in Canada is, the compressed energy storage itself. Possibly it needs a thick casing, basically, putting air and temperature. So you need a casing which will become very expensive. So they are looking at having again undersea balloons. So technically the pressure is already there. So you pump in air at a very high pressure, so the wall of the balloon need not be thickly designed. So that helps in making the cost of storage, energy storage lower. These are all some of the areas where people are working on the technology side.
Right. Right. Maybe before we come to the technology from Enphase, another taking advantage that you're still with us, Shantanu. You showed us the perspective on a global perspective for electrical storage, but considering the whole market for storage, the whole generation worldwide being backed up by all kinds of different storage solutions. But would you say maybe in 2020, 30, what would be storage backed up by batteries, and what would be maybe pumped storage or other solutions? I mean, just to make it clear that we won't have a world of maybe 50% of batteries, or maybe yes.
Yeah, no, I think the in-house view is that battery storage technologies will continue very long and so large numbers of manufacturing in India, but they are limited just to that. So upscaling, and they're also location specific, but I guess if you want to scale up and scale up fast, I'm not sure if gigawatts of target 6.7 megawatts, so that's 6% gigawatts of hydrogen. So yeah, we have to work with
And other flexibility options?
Flexibility, yes. I mean, that's a very interesting subject that we talk about. So as renewables come into picture more and more, they become more and more prominent. Flexibility will be a big issue, and it's not only storage. Storage, while being the biggest part of it, it's not just limited to it. Obviously, demand side management would be another factor, and let's say peak shifting by some of the other means would be another way to manage this.
So, I'd like to actually ask the question as somebody who uses batteries. So the solution that we provide is a complete energy management platform that includes storage, includes solar storage, demand side management, etc. I don't think anybody's addressing the elephant in the room, which is safety. Right? There is lithium, by definition, it's a pretty volatile chemistry. We use lithium iron phosphate. Of all the lithium chemistries, that's the choice we made because we felt that was the safest. So I think as we think about new storage technologies, particularly those that are chemical based, for us as a user of chemistry, that's actually a very, very big driver for us, is safety. Especially since we are big believers in distributed storage, behind the meter storage, we want to put stuff in people's homes that is extremely safe. So just a point that, while there may be fantastic chemistries coming with higher energy density, higher specific energy, volumetric efficiencies, and cycle life, and so on and so forth, if it's not safe, we won't use it.
I'd just like to add to what you mentioned about what would be the market for storage. I think when you talk about market for storage, possibly you want to segment it a little because different services will compete in different areas. For example, if you talk about time shift, demand response is a fantastic tool. We've done some pilots in India, and we know that in the US almost 1/3 of the market for this flexibility today is from demand response. But if you talk about frequency control and really quick response, batteries are winning hands down. There was recently an auction in 2017 in the UK which was open to any kind of service provider for frequency response, and the winners were all battery storage companies. So you really have to see the need and how that need evolves. And in our view, for different needs there will be different solutions which will emerge, and a lot of it would be market solutions as well.
Right, so the question is there the right framework set by government of India for having different solutions competing against each other and demonstrating in which niche market they actually fit with its best price? You know? So maybe even a coal-fired power plant, by regulating the steam by governor action, is able to do frequency control and might be even competitive with a battery, or maybe not. Is there a market for frequency control in India?
I think that market has to come very quickly as more and more renewable and intermittent generation comes in. It has to come in very quickly, and we talk about primary, secondary and tertiary. Today we don't have those markets in India, and the only market that has started is ancillary services. That too in a very shallow manner, where only central generating stations can participate in these markets, not even private generators. Forget about anyone else or a battery solution provider. So that market, that thinking is already there in CERC. They are thinking about how the market has to evolve, what evolution has to happen, what policies they need to bring. I think the time for action is really what will drive all of this. It really needs to be quick, because the technologies are available today. And only if the market is there will you see the Make in India also get supported. Because if the market is not there, why would people put money in manufacturing in India when China is a global hub for manufacturing anything? So how do you support Make in India if your end consumer market also is not there? This is a question that we have.
But wouldn't there also be actually a benefit for India if prices would come down for frequency control? And so isn't there also a chance to establish a market where actually the cheapest solution will win, whether it comes from India or from abroad?
Yeah, I think that is the view that is being taken right now for solar panels, that whatever is the cheapest, let's build capacity with the cheapest panels. So yes, I think it's always a question, it's a difficult question to answer, that whether you want to go for the cheapest, wherever it might be, or how do you want to support your economy by putting local manufacturing, because that also has a multiplier effect. So you really have to do a kind of a detailed econometric modeling to see whether supporting Make in India will deliver the benefits through increased jobs, or actually is just importing from China better for you as a whole economy. It's not really a simple answer. It's a complicated set of things that need to be evaluated together.
But there's no discussions of having a local content percentage or something. That would be also something to accelerate the market. No, it's not like black and white.
Yeah.
It's maybe also establish a market and saying, okay, something needs to be done here in India, and then put this percentage up as companies develop. I don't know, you said your company is developing for 40 years now? 25 years now. Just to be fair, even though we are at an interesting point of discussion, we would have to give you the chance to present once again more your company a little bit more in detail. Maximum 5 minutes, is that fine for you? Please.
Can I just add a few things on what was discussed very recently? So, in terms of storage and how it can be, why it would be needed for frequency regulation, and also, if you look at, from our perspective, there are three main ways in which storage is required. First one is long-term storage, which is like months to days. And there we actually find large hydro to be much more useful. Then if you look at days to hours, then gas-based systems or some smaller hydro systems might be useful. Then if you look at hours to seconds, then actually battery storage makes an absolute sense currently. As more and more solar gets deployed, and we have a huge target, given just 5-6 years, there will be several gigawatts of solar and wind on the grid, and any passing cloud over a solar farm which is of 1 gigawatt in capacity, which actually disrupt the frequency quite a bit. And this inertia to the grid is very critical, not only India but other countries as well. And I believe that storage will become an integral part of any future solar renewable project in general. So it's just a matter of time when we happen it. But it's absolutely confirmed that it will happen.
So you're actually hopeful that the market for ancillary services, primary, secondary, tertiary control will definitely come, and that electricity trading and companies like IEX will actually have higher shares than what we see by today?
the market shares is still debatable, but yes, ancillary services and certain tertiary services, as you said, they will definitely come. Not in all forms, but yes, it will be started. So CRC also already has some regulations in force. So some Kosovo and all are submitting some information, giving some information on the websites, but I believe it's just the beginning and it will scale up very rapidly.
Thank you. Actually, I feel a little bit bad for these two guys. They were supposed to make a presentation. Maybe just a few words. Why are you here in India? I heard, I mean, we might know the news, no? Enphase now coming with microinverters to India. Now you're saying you're coming with battery storage solutions to India. Is that right? Or are you just having it in your portfolio and you're saying, okay, whoever is asking for it gets it, we're not pushing it?
So yeah, you know, Enphase is a microinverter systems company, so microinverter is very different from what a string inverter is. So forget about centralized topologies. It's all about being fully distributed, where you put a little in microinverter at the back of your solar panel, and you can build out your entire plant however big you want. But Enphase, as I said, takes a very a platform view of it with solar storage, combined charge, and so on and so forth. Or of course, we are entering the Indian market, and the goal is to enter with microinverter, which is what we have done. But we also know that the market is ripe for storage. But starting with demand charge and demand management and energy storage, so we have it in our portfolio. So as the market
you have it here at the booth?
No, we do not have it here at the booth, but there is enough interest. Look at the interest here, and people who have come and stopped by our booth said, hey, what's going on with storage? Can you bring your storage product here? So I think it's simply a matter of time for us, maybe a quarter or so we'll have energy storage. I think more than likely it's all about behind the meter storage. That's what we believe in. We're not believers in front of the meter storage, because you can do everything that you want to do on front of the meter, you can do it behind the meter and have the homeowner pay for it. So even better, right? So our goal is do behind the meter storage, and so the products are available, and I think it's just a matter of time before we begin with the market. Is that few enough words?
Thank you so much. I was directly coming to ABB, who's having similar solutions, but I don't know if you're already demonstrating these kind of intelligent inverters also, which are actually, I don't know, I only know from Europe or Intersolar, no? So this is a big market, residential market, where actually the inverter and the system is capable to decide when it's smarter to charge the car, when it's smarter to charge the battery, when it's smarter to just give the electricity right away to the consumer, and then maybe at the very end give it to the grid.
You know, it's really interesting is to bring primary, secondary, tertiary control to within the home. That's when you're starting to think about creating an energy marketplace within the home, where you have many buyers and many sellers. You know, your load is a buyer, your generation source is a seller, and finding market dynamics within the home. That's really fascinating stuff as you think about primary, secondary, tertiary.
Is ABB showing this fascinating stuff at their booth?
I think this is an incident that happened in Chennai. There was a major flood, we all know that. And after 2-3 days, possibly floods went out, sun came back, but then the electricity was not restored. The distribution company, for various good and bad reasons. And a lot of people had solar panel on top of the roof, but you know what? They couldn't charge anything, because these solar inverters, they work in parallel with the grid only. They cannot work independently for various technical reasons, safety reasons. And if only they had some, I'm just taking a very stupid thing, when you don't look at complicating things. Even if they had the smallest battery, possibly they could have said. But there are other technologies available. I don't want to bore the audience with the details. So that's where possibly a little bit of storage might have helped people at least restoring power to charge their cell phone. So that's as simple as that. It will be very critical in some of it. It will be mission critical. Not only for economic reasons, but it will be very, very critical for some application. In all the coastal areas in India, maybe we need to look at having some backup. Even DG I mean, you cannot possibly supply even diesel energy cells in some of the villages, in some of the places. So they have to look at other options. That's my take.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Shivaran is insisting that yes, make in India in terms of battery should have a more prominent inverter, should have a more prominent role. So maybe we'll give you a small chance to just tell us again.
First of all, again, let me thank you. We had a great learning from all the panelists and great show. It's also an eye-opener for us. So many people are thinking about the renewable energy sources, and the way we are progressing is really impressive. And with those words, I would just like to say a few things. Like I said, storage. Before storage, are we really using the amount of solar energy? How much percentage of solar energy are we really using, even in the daytime, to our loads that are available in the daytime? Why storage? Storage is secondary. You want to store something that you have excess. So, do we have a system where we can at least take the energy from the solar or any other renewable source and use them for our loads? That is the first point that we need to address. And to that, we need to have a system where in our villages, in our rural areas, we can have DC system, which need not convert the DC into AC using an inverter or a grid-tied inverter or so on and so forth. The basic need is light and fan and TV. And LED light, as we all know, is the most efficient. We can use DC fans, which is consuming just 25 watts in place of 75 watts of a regular AC induction fan. And the TVs are most probably coming in 12 volt. And we have installed more than 40,000 DC systems in rural UP villages, and which are successfully running for the last 3.5 years. Let's talk about directly first utilizing the solar energy and then the storage. And now we come back to storage. Storage is in India predominantly used for doing backup. Not because we have excess solar energy. We don't have grid. We don't have light. We don't have fan. We are not in the luxury of storing it in the daytime, pushing it in the peak grid times and earning more. We are in the basic level of still having to use the solar energy for our regular consumption in the daytime, and if at all, store it for the evening time. So from there, I would like to start that we need to have DC systems, promote more DC systems which are more efficient, promote LED lights, promote, it's a system, it's not one thing. Locally produced, locally consumed, no need to transmit for your individual homes. That is the technology that we think is going to work in rural areas. And then if you have AC loads, then please come on with good grid-tied connection systems. But only grid systems is not going to offer you solution, because if you have a grid-tied system and the grid fails, you are going to waste the solar energy. You are going to, push the ROI even backwards. So you need to have both grid-tied system, a battery system, and a hybrid grid-tied system. That's the technology that's going to work for India. Is all that we are trying to push. You should be able to push into the grid if you have excess power. You should be able to store it, and in the evening times when you do not have, or in the daytime when you do not have grid, you should be able to use that as the backup power. And once more, I would like to reiterate that lithium ion may not be suitable right as of now because of its cost, but it has its own great advantages of cycle time and power density, of course. And we need to combine these two and see what is going to work best for our conditions. That's the second point that I wanted to make. And with those, we have got, Su-Kam has got a stall. Anybody who wants to see the hybrid system, which is designed, made in India, manufactured in India, for India, we welcome you all. And before I end, I again thank you all, the panelists who has given us a lot of information, and we are sure each together are going to make it energy abundant India. And namaste.
Thank you. Yeah, if there's a small presentation, please send it to us. You may contact to Mr. Michael Reck, and we will distribute amongst all of you who have registered properly with UBM in the entrance, or if interested to get the presentations directly. Please, once again, Shivani, I think this is fine. Leave the business cards also with Mr. Reck, and we will send the participation list amongst all. There is some time for questions from the audience. Do you believe in Make in India in times where there is 3 Tesla super factories coming up, where China is putting 2 more factories, where Panasonic, LG-Chem and Samsung is coming up with other gigafactories for battery production? Is there any questions to the audience from the publicum? Please stand up and just give us an idea who you are.
So I am an associate fellow in Delhi, and we have got a huge research project with the Indo-US Energy Storage and Smart Grids Consortium. So it's going to start up in this month from now. What interests me is now what Raghu told us. 2 aspects of storage I will talk about. The balancing renewables on the grid and the off-grid mobility applications. So I completely agree with Raghu what he told about balancing the grid in terms of high penetration scenario. I think if we go up with smart inverter functionality, I think that's going to do the trick for us with demand response based mechanisms. I myself drive an electric vehicle. I do not have a DG backup at home, so to say. So interestingly, they use VRLEs. And so 3 years ago, when I just left for doing my PhD, and when I returned back, batteries were discharged, so I had to replace them. So interestingly, the VRLE costs have increased. So it takes a 1/3 of the cost of the.
So you're actually confirming what almost everybody of us is saying, that especially Gurpreet, what you say, the business model will be everywhere, and we really have to segment the market. We really have to look at what we want, which customer. You said it several times also, Dr. Gupta, and then actually create a market for it and see if battery storage will be the best solution for this market segment or not. And definitely, as we have seen from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, grid balancing will come up, even though it might not be the first application in today's world. And e-mobility is seeing fantastic growth rates worldwide. But was there a question from your side also?
Just a deliberation, and on the questions part, I would just like to ask, if Make in India, then are we ready with battery management systems? So because a lot of, as you mentioned, a lot of gigafactories coming up, so I would really encourage people like Mr. Gupta who are putting up factories, but can we do with battery management systems, energy management systems, because that is what actually is going to make it true.
Dr. Gupta, is there a chance for making India a hub for batteries?
Battery management systems being made in India. You can visit us at 12, booth hall number 12, 167, and you can see how advanced lithium works and how advanced the battery management systems are functioning. We are giving a live demo. And our battery management systems are 100% made in India.
Thank you.
One more question. Yes, please.
Hi, this is Dharmendra from IHS. My question is to the battery suppliers. How is the GST reform is helping energy storage, and do you think it is going to be helping us in longer term as well?
Depends on which perspective, no? If you are importing
I'll give you something. So B2B customers are pretty happy because they get 100% set off. B2C customers, even when there was no GST, they were again paying the excise, the VAT, and all the taxes. Even as of today, they are still paying all the taxes. Before it was in 3 or 4 parts combining to the total amount. Today it's just one single tax combining to that. It hasn't made much of a difference. Except to the B2B customers, yes. They have been really benefited with this.
One more question. I think that means we're coming to an end. I think most important would be that we exchange contact details. I think it was really interesting to get to know that the battery market, as for the world's perspective from Bloomberg New Energy Finance, will be enormous, will be huge. Costs are falling. I think if I saw your presentation right, you expect almost the same drops in prices as it happened in solar per kilowatt battery storage. Yes, that's right. We have learned that there is an existent market. We have heard about telecom towers. We have heard about actually companies which are having solar rooftops already, and where storage would be a suitable solution. We are even looking into companies which in ties with other international companies are setting up lithium-ion battery manufacturing in India. I think not too many people know. I don't know if it's more of a secret, or but it was really, for me it was really impressive. It gives lots of of ideas on that. Actually, if you speed up this market here in India is coming up. If not, somebody would put in that much money. The question is if India could become even a hub for exporting to other countries, as I have heard from you, Dr. Dash, Mr. Dash. I think just because you went so quickly through your presentation, you all might know, or if you don't know, there is a newsletter from your association, which is actually free of cost, which are actually providing from time to time insights into what is happening in the Indian market. So thank you very much to your organization for providing this information for everybody who's interested. Thank you for ABB for being a leader in solar industry in India, being a leader in many other industries, but for also considering different storage options for the electricity system here in India. From IGEF, we have heard that the market is enormous and that the business will be everywhere. There's companies, leaders from other countries which are coming from the US to India because they believe in this market, and they also consider storage options, especially at the distribution level, as much centralized as possible. We have learned and heard from you. There is solutions which have been very, very, very good in the past, which will be good today, and which might be also an option for the future. Thank you very much to every one of you. I think it was a very fruitful and interesting discussion. I'm impressed by the audience we could gather. As we said in the beginning, if market growth in India for battery storage orients itself in the way this room filled up, we'll have a great future here in India. Thank you very much.